Howdy, Internet. It's time for another chapter of the Tin Woodman of Oz. Recording this slightly early because I got stuff to do at church tonight. Easter prep is going wonderfully. I'm really excited to get to sing in front of everybody on Sunday. But all that means we got to record early. So I'll post this to YouTube and post the link at 8 o'clock on Facebook so that everybody can enjoy chapter 23 of the Tin Woodman of Oz. The next to last chapter. Holy cow. Tomorrow night we finish this book, and then Friday night we start the 13th book of the Oz series, which is called The Magic of Oz. And after that we're going to read book 14, Glinda of Oz, and then we'll be done with Oz. Holy cow. Sometime in the not too distant future, we're going to finish this whole thing. Holy cow. But tonight is chapter 23, Through the Tunnel. If you recall last night, Nimmy Amy revealed she's married to Chopfit. Doesn't really want much to do with the Tin Woodman or the Tin Soldier. She's like, go home, boys. So tonight they've got to leave her little enclosure of solid air that she's built around her. And that's probably going to involve going back through the rabbit's tunnel. I guess we'll find out. In chapter 23, Through the Tunnel, let's begin. It didn't rain just then. Although the clouds in the sky grew thicker and more threatening, Polychrome hoped for a thunderstorm followed by her rainbow. But the two Tin Men did not relish the idea of getting wet. They even preferred to remain in Nimmy Amy's house, although they felt they were not welcome there, rather than go out and face the coming storm. But the Scarecrow, who was a very thoughtful person, said to his friends, "If we remain here until after the storm and Polychrome goes away on a rainbow, well, we'll be prisoners inside the wall of solid air. So it seems best to start upon our return journey at once. If I get wet, my straw stuffing will be ruined. And if you two gentlemen get wet, you may perhaps rust again and become useless. But even that is better than to stay here. Once we're free of the barrier, we have Woot the Wanderer to help us. And we can oil your joints and restuff my body if it becomes necessary. For the boy is made of meat, which neither rusts nor gets soggy or moldy." "Come along, then," cried Polychrome from the window, and the others, realizing the wisdom of the Scarecrow's speech, took leave of Nimmy Amy, who was glad to be rid of them, and said goodbye to her husband, who merely scowled and made no answer. Then they hurried from the house. "Your old parts are not very polite, I must say," remarked the Scarecrow when they were in the garden. "No," said Woot. "Chopfit is a regular grouch. He might have wished us a pleasant journey at the very least."
"I beg you not to hold us responsible for that creature's actions," pleaded the Tin Woodman. "We are through with Chopfit, and shall have nothing further to do with him."
Polychrome danced ahead of the party and led them straight to the burrow of the Blue Rabbit, which they might have some difficulty in finding without her. There she lost no time in making them small again. The Blue Rabbit was busy nibbling cabbage leaves in Nimmy Amy's garden, so they did not ask his permission, but at once entered the burrow. Even now the raindrops were beginning to fall, but it was quite dry inside the tunnel, and by the time they had reached the other end, outside the circular wall of solid air, the storm was at its height, and the rain was coming down in torrents.
"Let us wait here," proposed Polychrome, peering out of the hole and then quickly retreating. "The rainbow won't appear till after the storm. I can make it big again in a jiffy before I join my sisters on our bow."
"That's a good plan," said the Scarecrow approvingly. "It'll save me from getting soaked and soggy."
"It will save me from rusting," said the Tin Soldier. "It will enable me to remain highly polished," said the Tin Woodman.
"Oh, as for that, I myself prefer not to get my pretty clothes wet,"
laughed the Rainbow's daughter.
"But while we wait, I will bid you all adieu. I must also thank you for saving me from that dreadful giantess, Mrs. Yu. You've been good and patient comrades, and I have enjoyed our adventures together, but I am never so happy as when I'm on my dear Rainbow."
"Will your father scold you for getting left on the earth?" asked Woot.
"I suppose so," said Polychrome gaily. "I'm always getting in trouble for my mad pranks, as they are called. My sisters are so sweet and lovely and proper that they never dance off our rainbow, and so they never have any adventures. Adventures, to me, are good fun, only I never like to stay too long on earth, because I really don't belong here. I shall tell my father the Rainbow that I'll try not to be so careless again, and he will forgive me, because in our sky mansions there is always joy and happiness."
They were indeed sorry to part with their dainty and beautiful companion, and assured her of the devotion if they ever chanced to meet again. She shook hands with the Scarecrow and the Tin Men, and kissed Woot the Wanderer lightly upon his forehead. Then the rain suddenly ceased, and as the tiny people left the burrow of the blue rabbit, a glorious big rainbow appeared in the sky, and the end of its arch slowly descended and touched the ground just where they stood. Woot was so busy watching a score of lovely maidens, sisters of Polychrome, who were leaning over the edge of the bow, and another score who danced gaily amid the radiance of the splendid... Excuse me. Excuse me. Who danced gaily against the radiance of the splendid hues, that he did not notice he was growing big again. But now Polychrome joined her sisters on the rainbow, and the huge arch lifted and slowly melted away as the sun burst from the clouds and sent its own white beams dancing over the meadows. "Why, she's gone!" exclaimed the boy, and turned to see his companions still waving their hands in token of adieu to the vanished Polychrome. And that is the end of chapter 23, Through the Tunnel. Tomorrow night, right here, 8 o'clock, Facebook Live, we're going to read chapter 24, The Curtain Falls. And then Friday night, we will begin The Magic of Oz, the 13th and penultimate book in the Oz series. I do hope you'll join us then. Good night, everyone.